Well, good morning, everybody. Today is Sunday, January the 10th, and welcome to Unity Center of Light's live Zoom service this morning. We are blessed to have with us Jackie Woodside, who's an ongoing friend of ours and has been with us many times, inspirational speaker, presenter, author of so many books, I don't even know all of them anymore. She's with us today and is one of our speakers this morning. We have Shipley Allinson, who is the retired minister from Unity on the River. She's blessing us with her presence this morning. And we're going to start out the morning with some music from Rayne, musician extraordinaire, who we also know from Unity on the River. So blessings, everybody. And we're going to get started.
Good morning, everyone. Bless you all. I'm so grateful to be here. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's grace. There's a holy hush around us. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's grace. There's a holy hush around us. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
Yes, surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. So let us take a moment to go within into the secret place of the Most High, wherein dwells the presence, always a presence, never an absence, as Michael Beckwith says. And surely the presence of the Lord of the light is in Unity's center of light. You are here by divine appointment. You are here revealing God. You are here because the Spirit of the living God has called you to a higher expression, to truly know and understand the depth of the Christ energy that is within you. The ancient Essenes said that the Christ energies enters every year around the beginning of the year, around Epiphany. The Christ energies, the perfect pattern for humankind, enters the universe. So today we honor that entrance and align with it and know that that is the truth of our being, that we are here to explore. And I know by your mission that you are here helping others truly understand the depths of the Christ essence that is within them. So I bless that endeavor. And today we gather in gratitude for the opportunity to be together, to experience the light that is in each one of us, no matter where you are, where you've come from. There's no separation in time and space. We have gratitude for all those who helped to create this service, for the technicians, for April May, for everyone who has participated in bringing it forth. We bless the beautiful, magnificent voice of Rayne and the teachings that she gives us through her music. We bless the inspiration and the high consciousness of Jackie Woodside and the words of her mouth. And I also bless the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart, knowing that we are all here to transcend what we experience often on a daily level, to remember who we are and the truth of the world, full of light, the light essence that is the Christ. And so it is. Amen and amen.
So it's time to wake up, and we're going to lift this service into a higher elevation of energy. Wake up to the one. This is a fairly new song of mine, and maybe you'll start singing it with me because it makes me happy singing it. Wake up to the one. Wake up to the one. Wake up to the one love that makes us. Wake up to the one. Wake up to the one. Wake up to the one love that makes us. Only one I know. Make the choice to grow. Lead us on to show we are God's spirit. We are God as human. We are God's spirit, God's spirit, God's spirit. Wake up to the one. Wake up to the one. Wake up to the one love that makes us. Wake up to the one. Wake up to the one. Wake up to the one love that makes us. Only one I know. Make the choice to grow. Lead us on to show we are God's spirit. We are God as human. We are God's spirit, God's spirit, God's spirit. Wake up. Yay.
Thank you so much, Meg. It's just delightful to have your music lift us up, lift all of us up today. And I love that last line, we are one, God's spirit. And I want to affirm that as we begin our service today and even invite you to affirm that with me right now. We are one, God's spirit. Say that out loud. We are one, God's spirit. I think that after the week that we've had in the United States this week, that might be an apt thing for us to spend some time thinking about, isn't it? We are one, God's spirit. So I want to thank all of you for being here today in celebrating with us. I think it's an important time for us to shore up our spiritual resources and our spiritual strength together as one, the Christ consciousness, the unity that we are. So thank you for being here with us this morning. April, thank you for the invitation and just letting us play around with this, bring in some other speakers and singers and to do this live. I just so appreciate your willingness, you and Butch and Patty, thank you for your invitation. So I want to think back to a time, it was a beautiful fall day. I think it was 2005, maybe 2006, one of those warm, bright, sunny days in New England. I had just arrived in the parking lot at Hampden County Correctional Facility. No, I did not have shackles on my arms and legs. I was showing up for my first day to do some contract work as a clinical social worker in the men's sex offender unit. Hampden County Correctional Facility is a medium security penitentiary that houses about 900 men. And I'd never done forensic work before. I'd worked with people who were on parole, but I'd never worked in a prison system before. So you can imagine, as I was driving there to a men's penitentiary, what that was like for me, a little angst in my belly. And I got there, I don't know, it was probably 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning. And of course, by that time, everybody is at work. So this long parking lot, I'm parked way down to the end. And as I'm walking this long distance, getting myself to the check-in building, I'm really present to the fact that I'm doing something I have never done before. So I go into the entranceway, and it is, as you can well imagine, a very institutional setting, not very warm and embracing. And I check in and give them my wallet and my purse and my keys and my ID. All of that had to be checked. They opened one door, closed it behind me before the next door opened. These big metal, steel doors. They opened the next door, and I walked down this long, very institutional corridor, and came to this doorway with a guard next to it. And he just opened the door, and it opens onto a courtyard with basketball courts and the high fences and barbed wire and some picnic tables. And I'm just standing there like, so I looked at him and I said, "Where's the service and treatment education building?" And he did, barely looked up at me and just kind of, nodded his head to the right and said, "Last building." Okay. So I'm walking down this very, very wide, walkway, paved in black with barbed wire fences on both sides of me. And I am the only woman anywhere to be seen. I am the only person not either in an inmate jumpsuit or a security guard. You can imagine I stuck out like a sore thumb, and, trying to look as casual and together as possible. I walked this very long distance all the way to the other end of the courtyard, opening the doors to the service building, recognizing I have no idea where I'm going to go, seeing hallways in front of me. I see a security guard in a room to my right, and I kind of give him a referenced look, at which he quickly puts his head back down into his newspaper, offering no assistance whatsoever. So my heart now is up in my throat. I'm walking down the corridor. And finally, the corridor just opened up into an atrium area with offices all around and a desk. And I have no idea where I am, but I hear a door over to my right open and close. And as I look to my right, there's this strong yet gentle man walking toward me in dress slacks and a tan shirt with a snappy looking tie. And he walks toward me and he puts his hands at his chest and he said, "You must be Jackie. Namaste." And thus began my education from Dr. Roy Dudley, who was the director of the men's sex offender unit at Hampden County Correctional Facility. Thus began my education in recognizing that no matter who you are, where you've come from, what walk of life you're on, what's called for, who we are called for, no matter who we're in the face of, is simply the divine in me sees and recognizes the divine in you. And so I worked with Dr. Dudley for a couple of years in the correctional facility. I learned so much from that man. And I learned a lot about the notion of freedom. And freedom meaning, not necessarily the experience that you have of moving about the world. In fact, let me ask you, what's the difference of those 900 men who are incarcerated and you and I each and every day? What I'll tell you is that we each have this, 525,942 minutes. That's what we have every year, 525,942 minutes to determine how free we are. And the difference between those men who are incarcerated that I spent 2 years getting to know and love, and you and I, the only difference is that we can determine what we eat and where we move about our day. That's the only difference. Because the level of freedom or transcendence that we experience on the day-to-day has nothing to do with the external conditions of our lives. I want you to take that in for a minute. The freedom and transcendence that we have in life has less to do, or in fact, nothing to do with our external circumstances and conditions, and everything to do with our inner experience of God and ourselves as God. In fact, I want to go a step further and say the only goal of any true spiritual practice, the only goal of any true religion or spirituality is freedom, transcendence. So the way that I define freedom is this: it is transcending the confinement of the ego, right? Freedom isn't about, there's a lot of talk right now about freedom in our country, isn't there? And to me, freedom has nothing to do with I'm going to do whatever I want, whenever I want, wherever I want, regardless of how it impacts other people. No, that is not freedom. Freedom is the ability to make the highest choice in alignment with your values and your God self at all times with no exceptions, even when it's not comfortable, even when it's not convenient, even when other people disagree. So I want you to take on this notion with me that freedom actually means the ability to master your inner world of belief and emotions and attitudes and thoughts and perceptions. That is true freedom. I'm sure many of you have studied the work of Viktor Frankl, who was incarcerated during the Holocaust and came to see that true freedom means being able to live your life and cultivate meaning based on the things that you love. So going back to this notion that the only real goal of spiritual practice is freedom. Freedom from the confines of the ego. Spirituality is not about learning to be a better person. Spirituality is not about being less stressed. Spirituality is not about learning to be more loving. It is about being love. True religion isn't about learning about Christ. It is about becoming the Christ consciousness that you are. It's not about developing greater faith. It is about being faithful. So how do you get there? This freedom from the confines of the ego is what I call living in transcendent consciousness, above the strife and the difficulties that we're having now. That doesn't mean you don't act, but coming upon the experiences in your world and in our lives, coming upon those experiences from the place of freedom, from the confines of your ego, freedom from fear, freedom from anxiety, freedom from judgment. So what is the path to that? Are you guys with me so far? Let me just look at some of your faces. Give me a something. Y'all with me? Yeah, Amy Joblin, good to see you out there. Willie, you got me? Kathleen, oh, Holly Henshaw. Hey, April, I see you out there, beautiful. Hey, Kathleen. I don't want to go too fast. I really want this message to make a difference for you in your lives today. So I'm going to move forward and say, what is the path, right? So you get what I'm saying, that the only goal of true spiritual practice is freedom from the confines of the ego, to know yourself as the Christ, to, my goal of my spiritual living is to know myself as God more fully. Less Jackie, more God. Trust me, my family would agree. The world can use all of us being less about our ego's proclivities and more about being our God self on earth. So what is the path to that? I say that there's two avenues, and if you saw what today's talk title is, you know what they are already. There's two avenues to this transcendent self, this way of freedom, and I consider them to be opposite sides of the same coin. And a lot of people confuse these two things. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about the twin notions of surrender and acceptance. So I say there are two sides of the same coin. What do I mean by that? Well, both of them, being able to accept life on life's terms and surrender to God, are flip sides of the same coin, because both of them require freedom from the confines of the ego. You will not know acceptance and freedom when you are married to and attached to your opinions being the right way. You will not know yourself as God more fully when you are convinced that you are right about the way things are. Take a look at what happened this week in your own life, in the world. There are lots of places that we get very connected, very attached to the way that life should be. I know that I experience that a lot. So I said they're opposite sides of the same coin. Here's what I mean by that. Acceptance, I see as being the outward facing spiritual practice of recognizing that people are always doing the highest and best of their current and evolving capacity, even when it's ugly. even when it's not going the way that we wish it were going, right? So acceptance means recognizing that people are doing the highest and best according to their current and evolving capacity. Therefore, so when you accept that people are doing the best they can, therefore you have the capacity to recognize that there is never anything to judge or anything even that you have to forgive. Why? Because if you believe Romans 8:28, that all things are evolving for our highest good, all things are evolving for good for those who love and serve the Lord, all things are happening for good, and people are doing their highest and best, then what is there to forgive? I know that I didn't like what that happened. I know that that hurt me, and I see you. I accept you. I accept life on life's terms. I accept that God is always giving me exactly what I need for my soul's unfoldment. You're like, well, Jackie, this doesn't look like it's for the highest and best of our world right now. Yeah, I got that. But we've got the microscopic view. I invite you to bring the God's eye view. That sometimes evolution is messy. Have you noticed? Yours and in the world. Civilizations do rise and fall. That may be what's happening. I don't know. But what I do know is that regardless of where we are on the evolutionary growth chart, if you will, for civilization, we are as God is. And if each and every, this is why I'm so passionate about my message, if each and every person could live that, I don't think these things would be, violence and strife and separation and division, I don't think it would continue. If everyone could commit to being their highest and best at their God self on earth, oneness becomes a possibility. So the one side of the coin of transcendence is accepting. I am the way that I am. My life is the way my life is. My church is the way my church is. My country is the way my country is. And trusting that all of this is evolving toward the higher good. And the other side of that coin is surrender. And surrender means recognizing the limitations of the human nature. Human nature is limited. Have you noticed? Our own proclivities are limited. We're limited by our fears. We're limited by our limiting thoughts. We're limited by our limiting beliefs. We're limited by our judgments. And we are uplifted every time we surrender our human opinions and ego and sense of right and wrong and judgments. Every time we surrender our ego to the calling, wisdom, and direction to spirit, we are lifted to transcendent consciousness. Your path to transcendence is these two sides of the same coin. Surrendering my ego and proclivities to calling, direction, guidance, and spirit of God, and accepting that everyone is doing the best they can as well, right? So I don't know about you, but the place that I am most challenged by this, well, let me just ask first, how many of you have raised children or been around children or cared for children? Let me see a show of hands. Yeah, so yeah. Okay, great. So, I mean, if you haven't raised children, you've at least been around children, you've cared for children, most of you have, right? And so I know that my greatest spiritual unfoldment, my greatest spiritual teacher right now is my relationship with my son. How many of you are there, with your sons or daughters or your children in some way, right? And my son has been a great teacher for me in finding his own way, which is very different than my way. Imagine that. How many parents can, have that experience? And so I've struggled with that and been like, well, but it wasn't supposed to look this way. And this isn't, this can't be for me because it's not what I thought it was going to be like, and all of that. And I read an article this week about a new book that's by Milena Ernman. And it is, Elena Ernman is Greta Thunberg's mother. And she wrote a book about raising Greta and what their path has been like raising her. She's only 18. And by the way, she did a live stream with the Dalai Lama last night on environmental activities, which was just extraordinary. So Greta is 18 or 19. I think she's 18 years old. And many of you may know that as a young child, she really struggled. She's been diagnosed as being on the autism spectrum, having Asperger's syndrome. She was diagnosed with an eating disorder, with depression, with selective mutism. She had a very, very difficult experience as a younger child. I mean, she's still pretty much a child at 18, but as a young child, she was bullied in school. She had school refusal, would not go to school. And how her parents dealt with the issues that Greta was experiencing was just extraordinary. They practiced exactly what I'm saying to you. They first practiced surrender, that the way things looked were not what they thought it was going to be, but they surrendered their ego's preferences, desires, opinions, their projections as parents of what life was going to look like. They surrendered all of that and said, you know what, this isn't what we thought it was going to look like, but we're going all in. They said, to get our Greta back. Her mother wrote that she was on the abyss of a very dark place. She was hurling toward darkness, and we had to do everything we could to get her back. So surrender does not mean inaction. Surrender is a place of being rather than a place of complacency, but coming from that place of, I accept the guidance and direction of spirit. They accepted that their daughter was the way that they were. They surrendered their own vision of what they thought it was supposed to be like, and they took action, getting help for her, finding really great specialists, really great treatments. And as she was on the verge of being psychiatrically admitted because she had not eaten and she was getting very, very ill and her body was shutting down, on the verge of being psychiatrically admitted, Greta turned to her parents, the only people that she would speak to, and said, I want to eat again. And it was at that point, in her parents' loving acceptance of who she was and their surrender of their vision of how they thought she should be, that she was able to heal and go on and literally change the world. So I don't know what your Greta experience is in life right now. Maybe it's what's happening in the politics. Maybe it's raising your children. I know for me, it's certainly a place for me. Maybe it's the pandemic. Oh, by the way, we are still in the midst of a very, very challenging time economically, socially, public health in our world. I don't know what your experience is that is pulling you away from your Christed essence, but I know the path to transcendence is through accepting that all things are working together for good, even when it doesn't look like it, and surrendering your human nature, your human ego, opinions, preferences, and judgments to the guidance, wisdom, and direction of spirit. That's my call for you today, my blessing, and so it is.
Oh, bless you all. Thank you, Jackie. That was beautiful, beautiful. And I'm going to follow it with this chant. It's called Surrender. That is on my last album, which is called I Am the One. And this is from a paragraph in the big book of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. And there's a line that says, abandon yourself to God as you understand God. And it taught me about really letting go of my ego and all the ways that I think I should appear. And so your talk is just so appropriate right now of how do we come back to our God consciousness and live as God's spirit in a human body. So just relax, and as our hearts are opened anyway, we keep in this energy. Surrender, surrender. go. All the ways that you appear, all the losses that you fear, everything you thought you knew, all the doingness of you, let go. Everything you've done before, your accomplishments and more, all the roads you've traveled on will be stardust, will be gone. Let go. Abandon yourself to the only one. Abandon yourself. Abandon yourself to the only one. Abandon yourself to God. All the longing to be right, all the wars you need to fight, all the plans that you have made, all the debts you never paid, let go. Your body and your mind, all the jewels you hope you'll find, nothing left to hold on to, just the love that washes through, let go. Abandon yourself to the only one. Abandon yourself. Abandon yourself to the only one. Abandon yourself to God. Surrender, surrender, I surrender and let go.
Thank you, Meg. So beautiful. You have opened our hearts. You've taken us to the perfect place where we can abide in the secret place of the Most High. Those who abide in the secret place of the Most High and under the shadow of the Almighty shall say to the Lord, my refuge and my strength. So let us go within to that secret place, the place where we remember. For surely this has been a difficult year. So many losses, so many people lost loved ones, lost jobs, lost their place of living, so much loss. And this last week was a culmination of it all. And what do we say to this when we look back? When our hearts are broken, we are in deep grief and sorrow. Can we accept? Can we surrender the concepts that Jackie has given us? Can we realize that something else is occurring here? A miracle is a change in perception, it says in the Course in Miracles. Jackie called us to rise higher in our view. We need to remember that there is only one of us in the universe. There's only one of us. Sometimes we behave in ways that we want to judge. We want to condemn. But there is a reason that things are happening. And I invite us to remember that all things, as Jackie said, all things work together for good. Something is transpiring here. Something is wanting to be birthed. Something is coming forth. Some wondrous thing that we can't know about yet. But this is the time when we call upon our faith and our trust. This is the time we remember the divine dwells within each and every one of us, and we're all being called up higher. So I invite us to go into the silence, reflect on these concepts of surrender, acceptance, and how they can lead us to freedom. If we are able to let go, as Meg has called us to let go and turn it over, go within, can we gain a new perception and experience a miracle? Because when we are in that vibration, all things are possible. All things work together for good. Those who love the light. Lord, you are here loving the light, Unity Center of Light. We have all been called. We've been called to a higher purpose. Remember and let go. So I invite you into the silence. Peace be still. Know and remember in the silence. I call us back to this present time and place. Invite you to just notice if you receive any kind of message as you are coming out of this stillness. And I affirm for each and every one of us that we are the Christ, sons and daughters of the living God. We are here on purpose. And we let go of our littleness, of our smallness, and we become willing to step forward and remember, and to speak the truth in the world, and to maintain the high vibration of what we know is possible. And we see miracle upon miracle as we change our perception. Thank you, sweet spirit. So it is. Amen and amen.
Surrender, surrender. I surrender and let go. Let's all put our hands on our hearts and sing this. I surrender to my highest consciousness. I surrender to my light and my love. I surrender to God. I let go. So it is.
Thank you, Jackie, Shipley, Meg, for these powerful reminders and calling. So we have so much to be grateful for here at Unity Center of Light, not the least of which is the sharing that Jackie and Shipley and Meg did with us today. All of our wonderful guests who've joined us today, we're very grateful for you. We are also very grateful to all the people who continue to support Unity Center of Light through these changing times. And so at this point, I'd like to invite all of you who would like to participate in a blessing of our offerings for Unity Center of Light. If you're a guest with us, if you should want to go to our website at unitycenteroflight.org, we have quite a variety of ways that you can give, texting and PayPal and a lot of varieties. But what we're going to do is affirm all of our blessings and the things we are grateful for in advance. And whether you know this affirmation or not, if you're a regular, you do. If you don't, just allow it to wash over your mind and your heart. So we say, we bless and give thanks for these tithes and offerings that continue the healing, loving work done through the Unity Center of Light. For that, we are so grateful. And so it is. Amen. So another one of the many blessings that we have here at Unity Center of Light is all that the technological world is allowing us to still do with one another. Even though we're physically distanced, we are not separated from one another. And I'd just like to remind you of a few things coming up. One, if you are interested in our commitment program that we do every year, now is the time to fill out a new form. This gives Unity Center of Light an idea of what you are willing to set for yourself, actually, between you and Spirit as a commitment for the year, as far as volunteerism and your giving is concerned. That form was sent out earlier this week, and we'll be sharing it with you again in our e-newsletters and our weekly updates. The second thing was we did promise to share with you all an update at the beginning of the year about what we saw moving forward. At this point in time, it doesn't look like our ability to be able to meet physically together is going to be changing in the near future. Once Reverend Butch is back, he'll be giving us a further update. But we are going to continue to connect with one another in spirit through this medium and in our classes and workshops and prayer services that we are conducting. We also wanted to remind you that starting this week, we have a new discussion group that's starting on Wednesday for 4 weeks. It's called Nurture Your Divine Spirit, Spiritual Tools and Practices. This will be an opportunity to talk about and practice and share with one another all about the principles and the tools that Unity has given us to work through these very moments that we find ourselves in these days. So the link for that is in the e-newsletter and also in the weekly update as well. And then last but not least, we are continuing our series on courageous conversations that we've been having through this time, where we can come together and share, talk about what might be challenging areas for us in our walk through the world, share with one another, view some videos that might be provocative for us about things we want to think about and talk about. We sent out some homework for you guys from the last Courageous Conversations, and that was in our communications this week, and that will continue. So take a look at that if you want to fully participate when we come back together again for Courageous Conversations on January the 18th. So that's all I have for announcements. And I believe we have more music.
Yay. Well, yes, we do. And we do have more music. And I think this song whence we give up our ego and we realize that we are the light of the world, that I am God as human, that all of us are. We shine, we truly shine, and let go of all that keeps us from that. So shine like the sun, and that's what we're here for. So here, join me in the beautiful chorus, which is just shine, shine, shine like the sun. Shine like the sun. We're all gonna shine like the sun. One more time. Come on and shine like the sun. Everybody shine like the sun. It's time to shake off the weight of the illusion. We're lifting the veil. Finally wake up and lose the confusion and drink from the one holy grail and shine like the sun. Everybody shine like the sun. It's our light, not our darkness, that frightens us. Who are we meant to be? Brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous. We're meant to fly free and shine like the sun. Everybody shine like the sun. And let your light be a wonder to the world. You've got nothing to hide. yourself on. Turn yourself on and shine like the sun. We're all gonna shine like the sun. Everybody sing it. Come on and shine like the sun. Oh, I'm gonna shine like the sun. Turn yourself on. Turn yourself on and shine. Woo!
Yes, everyone shine. Unity Center of the Light, you shine. You are the light of God expressing. Thank you for being who you are and giving all that you give to the world. And thank you everyone else who has joined in. And let's all say the prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us.
The power of God protects us.
And the presence
of God watches over us.
Wherever we are, God
is.
and all is well. And we are richly blessed. Sorry, that's the part we say.